Oh, it's working. Oh my gosh. You know, I really need help on this because I'm going to tell y'all, like 90% of the time when I try to do YouTube, this is what happens. I had to go through, like, I had to shut down my computer, open up my computer, go to a new browser. It's like, this is what happens all the time. And they've updated so much of YouTube. It's now like stream, webcam, and I don't have any of that. I just press and go on, right? Well, unfortunately, the technology is smarter than me right now. So I need help. If anybody knows somebody who can help me set all this up, I would be forever grateful because I literally don't know what I'm doing. I don't have like the right kind of connections to make YouTube work. And I got too many other things going on. So, all righty. Okay, I'm back. So I'm going to take a moment and just say hi to people and just kind of center myself because it's kind of like, yes, I am Chris Boston. You see how many attempts I made? I can't help but think that it is just, where's Duty Ron? I didn't see Duty Ron. You said Duty Ron. I don't see him. Sandra said that. Yeah, he did a great thing on, I did catch some of his talk about, can you please tell me how you come about doing your chakra cards? Please tell me a bit more. Okay, I need a little bit more question about that. Oh yeah, well Duty Ron's like promised to help me 100 times. It's like I gotta get him to help me. He said, I know a guy. You know, it's like, yeah, you know a lot of guys, so tell me. Okay, so I gotta get up with him. He's great, by the way. So, okay, so where was I? When we last left, we were talking about the Coopers. We were talking about Amy Cooper, no relation to Christian Cooper, in the park. Remember that? No, I know, help him set up my stuff, I know. Hi, Jody Z. Wow, good to see you, girl. Lacey, okay, good. Everybody's coming in. Oh, the Chakra Wisdom Oracle ones. And I just need to know, because what I did, everybody, just so you know, there is another channel that's kind of been set up. And I'm going to talk about, a lot of that stuff. I'm going to talk about more of my woo kind of things. And I actually think I'm going to do some of the family dynamics of the Chris Watts family trees, all of that kind of stuff over on that channel. Because I want to do more of the woo-woo over there. So let's get back to crime. Let's get back to our thing here. All right. So back to this, basically, as we pick up where we left off, was now we have, and it's ironic, right? Coincidence, and we know God, you know, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous, right? So we know we've got Amy Cooper, the crazy white woman, and this really lovely, I mean, seriously, lovely black guy, Christian Cooper, bird watcher. So he asks her to put her dog on a leash, and she goes berserk. Like she literally, and apparently somewhere in that confrontation, he turns on his camera, and that's what we started to see. We start to see her grab her dog like this, and she's grabbing the dog, and she doesn't even put the dog on the leash. She's so focused on getting over to him, and she's going, turn that off, and she's saying, you know, I'm going to call the police. And basically what she said, okay, is I am going to tell them an African-American man is threatening my life. And I was like, you're what? And I'm watching this, and here's the thing that happens to me. I get embarrassed for all white women everywhere in the world. I want to just like bury my head in the sand because she is the biggest ass, okay? And I'm watching this and I'm going, oh gosh. And it was funny because his sister had posted it and I caught that. That was the first wave and I caught it. And his sister commented, which I thought was kind of funny. She said something about, I bet this woman is the first to like go to like basically a Black Lives Matter march or say how she's not racist, you know. But yet what she did, and this is now we're talking about the rules of three, right? We saw what Joe Biden said. Now we're seeing this. But you see what she did that is even more dangerous than just, obviously we know, a white woman calling the police saying, I'm being threatened by an African-American man. Who says that? Who? Only a virtue signaler would use the term, I'm being threatened by an African American man. I mean, wouldn't you just get on and go, I'm being threatened by a black guy? Right? I mean, it just feels like, why are you doing all these steps? And because in her little pretty world, you have to call a person African American, right? Politically correct, right? But you see what she did. Well, and you listen, I've heard this for years and I go crazy because it's like white privilege, white privilege, white privilege, white privilege. And I know, okay, like I totally get what they're trying to say. Most people don't get it. But here's the thing that's important about that is that what we witnessed in that, if you saw that video, and I encourage you to go see it, go look at it, we watched white privilege weaponized. She took her privilege and said, I can get you with my privilege and I can destroy you, black man. And it was just so heinous. It was just beyond, right? And when it started to come together to me was a friend of mine said, oh, well, she's definitely, yeah, she threatened his life. Thank you, Blue Flame. She completely threatened his life. And I want to ask you something. What's the difference between that and somebody that swats, sends violence to your house? Very little. Because you see, the cops, and we've seen this now, the cops are going to really respond. A dangerous black man. Oh, but wait, a dangerous African American. The hell is that? And and I'm glad you used the word racist. I'm going to say this about racism. What she did, okay, here's the problem that's going on right now, right? The word racism has been used so much about who? That's right. About all of the white Trump supporters. So what's happened is everybody's kind of like, I know, it's like you're xenophobic, you're racist, you're this, you're that. And you have used these terms to set, not you, but one has used these terms against those people so much that now the term doesn't mean anything. So it's almost worse because what she is she's a bigot. She's a bigot. And a bigot is, well, we know she's racist, but she's the one who's going, I'm not a racist, I'm so sorry. It's like, yeah, you are a racist, honey. You're hiding behind going to, the Women's March. And everybody that I was hearing from, right? Thank you. I was hearing from people going, oh, well, obviously she's one of those racist Trump Republicans. And first thing I said is like, she doesn't look like a Republican to me. Because let me tell you something, I mean, Republicans are pretty like outspoken, but I've never seen them do that. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, I don't really see that from white female Republicans. Like, it's just not something I see. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but like, I was like, nah, she's definitely on the liberal side. And people were like, how could you say that? How could you say that? And then it came out that she had given $1,000 to Obama's campaign and she was very liberal. Now, here's the thing I want to say about that. People are like saying to me, how could you make it about politics? And I'm like, I hope you're freaking kidding. Because you know what? If she were Republican, don't you think she'd be all over MSNBC? Don't you think she'd be all over the news, every newspaper, everything? Here's the thing. Because she wasn't, it's like, oh, look what this woman did to this man and it was bad. No, it wasn't just bad. It was hiding behind, let's go back to what I said about Biden, the idea that black people, if you're not voting for me, you're not black. And then, well, I love you, black people. See, I'm with you. And you know what? But if you're doing something wrong, I can do whatever I want. No, you can't do whatever the F you want, okay? Because racism isn't just your thinking. You can't legislate thinking. But what you can do is teach proper behavior, okay? She was so wrong in so many levels. And forget what she did to the dog. Because one guy said, y'all are just, racism's okay, but, you're all more concerned about the dog. And it's like, no, I think what happens, everybody, and you understand when I mean this, there are clues that lead to a person's behavior. Circumstances don't make someone, they reveal them. You see, this circumstance didn't make her a racist. It didn't make her a bigot. It didn't make her abuse her dog. Because what it did is it revealed how incredibly selfish she was. Oh, I know. Don't even start with me about the dog, Margot. I can't even think about it. It's just the choking and then we have to watch. Let's talk about George Floyd being choked. Okay. I was curious, okay. Who is she? Oh, hi, Angelina. Okay, her name is Amy Cooper, and Christian Cooper, who was a bird watcher in Central Park. So if you just Google it, you'll see the story. Basically, what happened was she told him that she was going to call the police because she felt scared. He wasn't threatening her. Dude, he was just like, I'm filming this because you're cray-cray, all right? He's filming her, and he's going, oh, you can do what you want. She goes, I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to tell them an African-American man is threatening my life. And he goes, do what you got to do. And the thing is that was an attempt to terrorize and threaten him, okay? And the reality is that I'm not saying it happens all the time, but the reality is that that's a way to get a black man killed, okay? And what she did, not only did she weaponize her whiteness, but she also threatened his life. And I was saying, my stand on it was, that's like attempted murder, you guys, because she knowingly did it. See, it's one thing if you're just like scared and you say stupid crap, right? But it's another thing if you're thinking about it and you're trying to figure it out, right? I'm on rerun. Anybody else? I don't know what that means, rerun. Okay. Oh, are you? I don't know. She was fired. Yes, she was. So what happened was that day, somebody found out where she worked. It got posted. Franklin Templeton came on and said, we don't tolerate racism of any kind. She got fired, and she voluntarily surrendered her dog to the animal rescue that she adopted the dog from two years ago. And that's the thing, and I'm glad you said this, Red Like Wine. It is weaponizing whiteness, okay? And this is the thing, and you guys have heard me say this. I was invited to a social justice thing, and people are like, oh, I love what you say. Come join us. I go, no, because I know what it's going to be. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, it's going to be about how I have white privilege, and I know I've got it. So what do you want me to do? They're like, well, you should do something. I go, no, because you see, the problem is that it is the people that are aware, okay, and that go, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm a white person. They're the people out weaponizing their privilege, okay? And the problem that I'm seeing is that I really want to support the Black community in how do we share and educate and uplift and create privilege for all of us, because this is America. We are privileged in America. Now, I can't say obviously some other countries too, but I was very taken aback when I was doing some research on my new book. And one of the things that came up was how when the soldiers in World War II were in London, in Britain, the British people were like, oh, come on in. They were so loving and friendly to the Black soldiers, and the white soldiers went nuts. They hated it. And then we had race wars here in the States. Now, here's what I want to say about this, that old patterns die hard. So even if we're going to change an old idea, the issue is that I may change, but what if you respond to me the same way? I can't do anything about that. So the issue is that if we know that we have this white privilege, if we know that it's there, my question is, okay, great, I know I've got it, but here's the difference. I would never, ever, ever say that to somebody in that situation. I may say all kinds of things. You're an effing idiot, you're a jerk, whatever. But I would never threaten someone's life. I would never weaponize in that way. Because the thing is that man wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything but telling her to behave, and she didn't like it. Okay, so let's talk about George now. Okay, let's see. Yeah, thank you very much, because I really feel, and I'm just looking at some of what can we do? I'm white, and I know that white privilege is a real thing. We all do, right? And I go into these very rich neighborhoods where I don't belong and walk my dog. People wave to me, but what can I do about that? Well, I think the thing that you have to remember, let me just see something. Even the most aware of us, as far as unlearning anything Carolyn said this. Caroline, we've been fed growing up in a society that shows preference toward us, media representation, picking up on how people of color are treated around us. See, I think that is very true. All right, and yet, I see some very, it's so funny because it was like somebody said it. I think it was Joe Biden who said, he's so clean cut. He's very clean cut and blah, blah, blah. And I say that about people. Oh, he's so clean cut, And I think it was Corey. Can't think of his name now because whatever his name, Corey. He was running for president. He's one of the Corey. Anyway, he said, I can't believe he said that to me. That was so insulting. And it's like, but you are clean cut. It's not like, oh, for a black guy, you're clean cut. No, that wasn't how it's meant. But you see, the issue is how we interpret things becomes the issue. And there are racist things being said, but some things aren't. If I just say, oh, that guy looks really clean cut, nice guy, and immediately it's twisted into being something it's not. Now, here's the thing that's happening. And I love that you asked that question, because the fact is we know we have white privilege, right? And yet, the thing is that instead of having an equal stage, we go, oh, I'm so sorry. Here, you take everything. Let me give this to you. Oh, would you like another one? Do you want something? And it's like, instead of saying, okay, great, come on down, let's play, and then we're on an equal footing, you see, what happens and what we saw with Amy, if you will, what we saw from her was she was like, I've been so good to black people. I've been so nice. I've given them everything. And so, I'm sorry I made a mistake. And it's like, no, see, the issue is, babe, you've been this way all along. And you are trying to overcompensate your racism with being overly generous. If I give it to you, then I'm not racist. Really? No, that's not how it works. And this is the thing. This is one of the biggest things I will say to you, is that, probably other things, but is that doesn't work like that. And, let's talk about George Floyd, because I think all of these things, hold on one second. I don't know what, okay. It's like everything's going off. I'm like, what? I don't know. Anyway, so let's get into George Floyd, because I'm going to just say this. And again, this may get my whole, this whole thing turned off or whatever. I want to just say, I love, he's a former CIA. I love him, Bongino, right? He is just the man. And he says stuff that cracks me up. He's very right, okay? I wouldn't say he's not, I just think he calls people on their crap, and I like that. So I like Dan Bongino. And he said something very interesting, because he's ex-CIA, and he looked at the George Lloyd. I can't really say Floyd. Something? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, this is it. Okay, what did Jen say? Do we think the Leo will be charged? Oh, yeah. I think they will. And I think they're going to come down on him hard. It may just get stuck for a second, Angelina. It seems to be moving. It's like, let's see. Some baby boss says, my husband looks at blacks differently when he looks at whites. There's always teachers, professors, student. I'm glad he's not on the police force. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, baby boss. It's a little confusing. Joanne said, it's not the color of a person, it's their ways that matter and how they treat people. Listen, I can say that because I'm white, right? But when you look at the experience, and I'm using America's intent, of the Black American, and it's not just African American, we've got Jamaican American, we've got, the point I'm making is that we can understand that, we can say that, but it doesn't make it better for the people who experience it. So the reality is, every time I say, well, it's not about your color, it's about your character, what they hear is, oh, I really accept you. And it's kind of like, really? I don't know. And I can't speak for everybody, but I want it, not all black people, not all white people. But one of the things that you've seen, and this is when we talk about, I keep wanting to call him Floyd or Lloyd. I get the name. Okay. When we watched, and by the way, I want to back up and say on the 25th, which was Tuesday. Wait. Monday. Oh God, it was Memorial Day. Okay. George Floyd. I keep wanting to say Lloyd. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know why that's going in and out of my head like that, but that must mean something, and I'll probably see it later. Here's the thing. This man has 2 children, right? He went into, I don't know, it was like maybe a bodega, I don't know, like a little grocery store or something to stop and pick up something. And apparently he was passing off a counterfeit $20 bill. Now, I don't know about you, but I could have one in my wallet. I don't know, right? That doesn't mean I'm out making it in the back, okay? It doesn't mean just because you have a counterfeit dollar bill or something doesn't mean you're breaking the law. And he cooperated. So the police come and he gets now I'm a little unclear about some of this because somehow he got in his car and the police pulled him out, which I'm not liking. All right. $20 bill, guys, a $20 bill. This is not some guy selling crack cocaine on the street, okay? This is not what happened. This could happen to any of us, okay? But it becomes more heinous when we look at it as a, and here's the thing I want to say to you. You know, I think it was, is it Rashid? One of the, no, not Rashid. Can't think of her name right now. One of the congresswomen, she said, you know, people have a right to be angry. And I said, absolutely. What they don't have a right to do is go tear up people's things and destroy neighborhoods they don't live in, which is what this was. Okay, but let's take a look at this. Yeah, okay, so here's what we said. Cruz Boston just said, knee goes on the back. My husband's retired LE. He said had he been there, he would have demanded the cop move the knee. That's 100% murder. I think so. Thank you very much, Sandra. George Floyd. And I want to respect this man because you know what? It's, I know, listen, it's not all cops any more than it's all black people or all white liberals or white people who voted for Trump or whoever votes for Trump. It is, and it's Joe Biden. It's none of that. We are all part of, I want you to really get this. We are all part of this spiritual agreement that we've got going on, and one builds upon the other, right? It's the thing that begins happening, all right, is that the reason this man's murder, and I'm going to say murder, okay? I was watching Dan Bongino, and I love him because he says what he's, you know, he said, look at that. And he goes, look, and I'm looking at it and I go, oh, if you look at the murder taking place, this cop has his hands here, right? And one knee is on the back of his neck, and he's like this. And it took him 9 minutes to kill this guy, by the way. It was a 9-minute video, so it was probably, you know, he was taken off. And okay, here's what Bongino said. He's got his left knee on him, but Bongino said, oh my God, look at that. And we're looking, and he has his left leg on the guy's neck, like right here, like on the artery. His right leg is lifted. If you look at that video very carefully, his right leg is in the air, which means that his entire weight is on this man's neck. He wasn't just like holding him down there. He was like putting his hand, and he thought he was smart. He thought you didn't see what was going on. And Bongino goes, you know, and Bongino started as a cop on the street. He was then CIA. He's done like everything. And he is, like I said, very, very conservative. He was like, that's murder. And you know what's funny is even the Republican pundits are all like going, that's murder. That guy's off his rocker. And you know what? I've got to say to you, for me, we were watching a madman. I mean, that cop is absolutely insane, okay? I cannot in any way, and you know, you guys know I'm always like pro Leo. You know, I love law enforcement people, but even law enforcement is going. But it makes you wonder, this is about the crowd mentality, guys. There were black people saying, stop, you're killing him. And I've got to tell you, this is where I really cried. He called out for his mama to help him. I want you to get that. He goes, mama, come help me. Like, he was like, help me. He said, please stop. I can't breathe. Stop, please. He was pleading for his life. He was, He was pleading for his life. I mean, we watched. And as a white person now, I'm going to really take this in this way. I watched this poor man, a black man, murdered in front of my eyes. And I think that the entire country, I think the entire world watched it. I think we watched murder take place. And it's so symbolic. And I want to, shout this out also to Black folks out there. They've seen this pattern a long time, right? And we've heard about the pattern. I'm not going to lie to you. We've heard, all the time, like, oh, this is what happened. But we don't really see it, okay? They see it in their neighborhoods. They see that kind of, I want to say bigotry, because it's really that idea of I know more than you. A bigot thinks they're better than you. And that's where, when I was talking about, that first comment of like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, to I am so, like, she's the woman that probably led the Women's March, you know what I mean? And she's going to call the cops. And now we look at George. And Bongino even said, he said, look, he's laying on the ground and his head is like this. He said, if his head was in any other direction, he'd have been dead in 3 minutes. And when he said that the right leg was up in the air, okay, his right leg was up in the air. The cop, George Floyd was, I think, 46. Thank you for saying that, Angela. This is bigger than race, okay? And this is what, he was in his 40s, definitely. Was he 46 or 41? Anyway, but he has 2 children, I know that. Here's the thing. Everyone non-black needs to speak up. We all need to say this is wrong. And here's the thing I want to say to you, Cruz Boston, and I love you for saying that. And I want to just say, for me, and this is going to, yep, Trevor Fox, you are right on. She's a racist who got caught. Hello. Okay, so here's what I want to, listen, here's the thing about this. There is a pattern we're watching, everybody, okay? Now let's back up for a minute, because the murder of George, for me, it was in some ways as heinous as, worse. Because I'm thinking of Botham Jean. Because the thing about George is that, thank you for saying Floyd, because I keep like writing it wrong. I keep saying Floyd. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Jen just said that. That's like a one-sided chokehold, just deadly on the slower. See, I think it's murder too, and I'm going to be upfront with you. And you know me, guys. I'm like, oh, you want to go to a Women's March? I'll be here just watching TV. I'm not going to that, But if he is not found guilty of murder, that cop, and by the way, the 3 who were witnessing it, what was that? If I were a cop, I would have gone, oh, hey, come on, that's enough. Like, I would have pushed the guy off. Can I tell you something? The sad thing is that, and I want to say this to everybody. It only takes one to change everything. And the first thing I want to say about George Floyd is this, that so what, he passed a phony 20. So what? I'm beginning to see what the incredible rage and fear and anger, right? Now, I want to share this with you, okay? Look, Black folks have said this forever. They're angry and, about this and blah, blah, blah. However, for those of you, and just go inside yourself, check this out. If you're white or black or whatever, right? Let's look at what's going on politically. The people on the left feel so stifled, right? Because they feel like, oh, I don't want this. And they're so full of hate and rage and anger because they feel that things are being done to them. The same on the right. They're full of anger because they're going, wait a minute, I have a right to a voice, and they're like anger. So what we're talking about is everybody is experiencing being suppressed, okay? Now, I'm not trying to say that one is worse than the other. The reason I'm sharing this is because once you experience suppression, then you can have an understanding of, oh, I can understand that. But I'm going to tell you, we will never know. I will never really know what it's like to walk out that door every day and be a little scared of the white person down the street, or a little scared of the cop who's driving behind you. I don't have that. And so what I'm concerned about, everybody, is that there's a righteous anger that I think happens every time, right? So let's look at it this. When I say every time, bear with me. Let's talk about the other murders or killings or deaths or whatever of Black people that we've seen, right? It's a pattern. We always see the same thing. People come out and protest. They destroy some stuff. They get really pissed, and which is right. They have their right to, and then they start blaming. There's anger. This isn't working. This person. It's all this anger of like blaming everybody else, which I get. It's not that they don't have a right to that anger. Problem is, then we get looting. Okay, it's and this is the thing. We know. Okay, a little. How about a lot scared? Thank you, baby boss. Right on. I agree with you. A lot scared, and I'm saying I'm minimizing it, so I agree with you. Exactly. Thank you. As a white woman, I don't know what it's like to fear for my son's life when he goes out to deliver a pizza. Oh my God, thank you. It's like. And when let's see. Well, and something, Darren, and I'm gonna say to you, I really get that vengeance thing. I really get that, and I want to say that's something I was just gonna get. I'm getting truth bumps. Here's the thing that I really get. It's like I was listening to people today, and I've obviously it was justice for Trayvon, justice for this, justice for George, and I'm going, there's no justice. This isn't. The bigger conversation, and I really get, and I'm glad you're here, Darren, because I really get that vengeance feeling, right? When I say I get it, it's not like I feel it, but I can really, I'm going to say something. I understand it. Like I understand here, okay? Because the truth is enough. Like, and here's the thing. I am only a person witnessing a murder. And we watched and I'm gonna typify it, and then I'm gonna back up and say what I see as a solution that isn't on the table yet. Because what happens is Black folks want justice, right? But then there's a certain point where it's like, but there is no justice. Because, and somebody said today, I think it was some mayor somewhere, I don't know, and they go, we really need to, fix the past and and I'm going, how can you fix the past? And how can you fix it? Okay. Because here's the thing, there was this great talk that Wayne Dyer did years ago. And it was like, oh, I shoulda paid that bill so that my electricity was turned off because I woulda not known how to shoulda do it. And that's like, what? And we're listening. I'm going, what the heck? And I realized you can't change the past. What's past is the indignities, what we are looking at here, and I hope Darren's still here because I want to validate this for him. I don't know if you're listening or what have you, but I want to say this. Okay, yeah, I agree with you on that one. Let's see. Okay, I hope these here. Here's what I want to say about this. When I look at the new racism, let's call it the new racism, okay? Here's what I'm seeing, and just as a thought, okay? The idea that any political party would own a person or a racial group, okay? If you're not this, then you're not Black. I'm sorry. First of all, you want to take away someone's dignity, then you want to take away their choice. And let's back up to, it goes way back. Because you see, what we've done, right? It's like, oh, good, I'm glad you're here, Jen. Because I want to ask you about this. Because one of the things that I'm really feeling is like, you get to a point where it's like, yes, we want justice. And you see it not happening, not happening, not happening. Now, for me, I'm kind of like watching and like, I'm going, but it's the same thing over and over again. All of these leaders get up and they go, I really want to speak up for George's family. And I'm going, really? Because this is the same crap. Like, you're just saying the same stuff. And then we're watching the looters who aren't even related to the people that live there. They're just using it as an excuse. And you know what? I can understand the level of revenge and rage, because I'm going to tell you something. And I know people on this channel are going to say this too, Darren. Watching a man murdered is very different than saying, there's racism. When we watch, I'm watching that cop and I'm going, get off him. He's screaming for his mother. Get off him. Like, I was like going, get the off him. Like, and I felt like, here's this cop with a gun, right? And this, there's like black people around going, hey, you're hurting him. But they're not going to do anything because they know those cops can kill them. And so it's kind of like it is traumatizing for all of us. And I say all of us because I really want to share that I think something opened up in this crime that I don't think we've seen ever before. And the reason I'm saying this to you is because I don't want another freaking march. I don't want another, oh, gee, my best friends are blah, blah, blah. I want to know what needs to be done. I can't fix the past, but I know that this man that I witnessed, that all of us witnessed being murdered in front of us, it was wrong. It was wrong. And and I'm going to tell you this was not a normal man. Okay. And I'm not talking about George. I'm talking about the cop. That was the most insane thing I've ever seen. I'm ashamed that it took this tragic murder for me to get it. Thank you. Thank you. I know I can't possibly really understand, but I'm a little closer to understanding the pain the African-American community goes through. Thank you. Because you see what this was about, and this is the gift. I'm getting like, truth bumps. I'll tell you why mainstream media allowed us to witness this. Because if we didn't see it, we could deny it again. Darren says we've got 400 years of hatred. Thank you. 400 years of oppression, 400 years of anger. And by the way, Darren, that's built up, okay, in generations, right? And not only that, it's the systemic. And by the way, I want to say systemic racism because it's built up in other cultures. Like, and I want to say white people from different cultures, but mostly American, mostly, I don't know. I can't explain it, but I don't see it as much in other places. Not everywhere, but certainly in London, it's like, I don't witness it as much. Like, I don't know, but I don't see it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But yeah, it's sad when we white people wish it was a white victim. Many of us feel that way. I wonder how many people know this because we hate this too. There's no politician, what did she say? Meek and Pure said there's no politician, you mean political solution for racial injustice. Thank you. There isn't. And here's the thing that gets me. Is this lip service, okay? And, and I'm being very sincere when I say this. To validate that and go, yeah, that's true. I see it's true, Darren. I see it's true. And I know many of us see it's true. And here's the thing. I think that white people, and I'm saying this just truth, ball to the wall, I think they're terrified of Black anger. So they just want to say, okay, I'm just going to make it okay. You're not going to make it okay. You can't fix the past. You can't strip away what is inherent in somebody's DNA. You can't take away the indignities. What you can do is find a way to respond differently. You see, what we're seeing right now, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of it. Obviously, the president sent in the FBI right away and all of these things. But you know what? We've got to back up and go, how did that happen? Like, how does that happen every day? And let's back up even further and say, when Johnson saw Black families marching for civil rights, he knew he had to stop it. He had to shut it down because he didn't want it going against him. Let me see. What did she say? Yeah, Black. I was reading this. Hold on. Okay, got it. Being in the spiritual community, I've seen a lot of anger toward racism, especially white people. I want equal justice for everybody. You know what, too? I got to tell you something. I think it's phony. I think it's phony. I think that, well, and I'm going to be honest, all of this indignation of like, well, I'm not like that. I'm very pro black. It's like, no, you're not. You're not. And why? Because you're just giving it lip service. What are you doing? And it's like, well, I'm changing it by being, no, you're not changing it. Because the solutions have to be coming from the people who it's happened to. And we're seeing some people emerge, but we also, the thing is that the excuse that white people give so much is that, well, I wasn't here, I didn't do it. It's like, no, you didn't do it, but unknowingly we perpetuate it. And what I was saying, and forgive me for saying it this way, but when Johnson shut down, in the civil rights, he's like, okay, what do you want? Well, we want fair, we want decent place to live, we want fairness. And he goes, oh, okay, give them food stamps, give them a place to live, put them in this place. What did he say though? He said, oh, okay, black family, as long as you're not married, okay, and that man is not in the house, I'll give you money, the government will help you. That's why this whole retribution, what are you kidding me? Government already helped you. Like, no, don't trust them. And this is what I'm saying when I say this to you, is that when we look at what's happened, what I was saying to somebody is, because I shared with you the social justice thing, and I was like, no, I'm not going to that. When you tell me how to create black privilege, then I'm all there. Because I don't really want to just go and go, well, I do have white privilege, because it's not going to be something that will help the rage and anger and indignation and the treatment. So what we have to look at is that our culture pulled black men out of the homes. We told them they were worthless. And what happened to those people? They ended up going to jail. Why did they go to jail? They're sitting on the corner. They're going, I'm hanging out, because they don't have a wife and kids. They're not legitimate. They sneak in at night. As long as they're not married, the black family gets taken care of by the system. And this is systemic racism. And now the idea of, well, we've got to help those poor people. No, we need to, in my city, I think I told you some of you guys, they want to go, oh, well, because we've got a project down here and thing at the end of my street. And the thing is, they're going, well, we're going to create a beautiful green walkway for them into town. I go, they don't want a freaking walkway. And they go, well, how do you know? I'm like, you don't need to be an idiot to see they want education. They want to know how to grow out of where they are. They want opportunities. What the hell? It's like they don't care about trees and grass being so they can walk to downtown. It's like the thinking of white people helping, it's different than white people supporting. Okay, it's very different, because if we say we want to support what your choices are, how can we support it? I think the thing is that the only way to really support it is to sit back and recognize and really acknowledge this has been going on. And what I want to say is, and I don't know if Darren's taken off, but I want to say South Americans and the Chinese also discriminate. Oh yeah, absolutely. Amy Cooper was trying to recreate Emmett Till's murder. Thank you, Darren. You know what she was doing? And I said this, I don't know if you were here at the beginning. Amy Cooper weaponized white privilege. That's what we watched. And we watched the deceit of that woman and, white liberal, blah, 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 right? I don't know why that, I don't know what's going on with it's slow. The chat's slow. And I have a feeling, guys, thanks, Tracy Smith, by the way. Thank you for the super chat, shout out. Thank you so much. Thank you, Darren. And you see, here's the thing. My friends who are so liberal, they're going, oh gosh, that was just horrible that someone would do that. And I was like going, no, it's not horrible. She's the one who goes out and probably takes those marches. Oh yeah. You know what? It's like you're giving lip service. The minute you get involved in a movement, you've messed it up, because you're trying to, it's like being talked down to, right? Like the truth is that this has happened, and the thing is that I think we have to begin by saying, not I'm sorry, but I know that you're right. And I don't know today what to do about it. Because I think, and that's what I want to say to you, Darren, and people listening, is that I don't know what to do about it today, but I do know that you're right. Like And when I watched that cop murder this man, he has 2 kids. I'm sorry, but like, you know, he's not going home to his family. He was crying out for his mother. I mean, I keep saying this because it's like, I was so shocked, but I was glad I saw it. You know, it's like, and my dad, some of you guys know, my dad jumped on D-Day, blah, blah, blah. And years ago, I said to him, oh, Pop, when he was alive, I said, Pop, can we watch, not Band of Brothers, Tom Hanks, Saving Private Ryan? And he said, all right, I'll watch it with you, but I'm going to tell you something, all right? You're not going to close your eyes when the boys are coming on the beaches. I'm going to tell you that right now. You close your eyes, I'm not watching the effing film with you. My dad was, you know, he was kind of a New Yorker. And I go, okay. And he goes, no, I want you to see what it was really like. I want you to see it and know that it happened and not close your eyes to it. And I was like, okay. And that's what I felt when America and perhaps the world was watching George Floyd beg a white cop for his life. The cop who was supposed to be protecting all of us. Who was he protecting? He wasn't protecting me, and he wasn't protecting you. I watched him strip this man of his dignity. And for me, knowing history, it was like watching the system strip a man's dignity once again. He was begging for his life. And so, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm glad you said that, Darren. White people call the police just for the sake of calling the police. Some do. And you know what happens is that you're right. And I don't know how to fix it. You know, something I was saying is that I understand, in a sense, like my side of things. Like, I only know what I'm looking at. But when I looked at that, it was the great equalizing. I know you guys get this. Let's see. Yep, that cop does not represent white people. He represents, thank you. He represents evil incarnate. But you know what I want to say too, is that you have to remember though, you know, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth. Yeah, I think I've called the police one time in my life. Eric Garner. You know what I want to say to you, Darren? It's like, for you, it's a recreation of all that. For me, it's the first time my eyes have been open to what you've been screaming silently about my whole life. And, you know, I want you to understand, because I think that for me, saying this to you, like heart to heart, I got it. I didn't see it in any other thing, because I didn't see it. I can understand it, but when I watched, and that cop, and I'm telling you, his knee, like right, you know, okay, so this was his left knee on his neck, but he has, and Dan Bongino, I said, he has, Bongino showed this, he said he has his other leg lifted, which means his whole weight is on. You know what, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm telling you, if they don't find that guy guilty of murder, and I'm sorry, but like, you know what I also know? If those were, and I'm going to be honest, if those were like 4 black guys, right, with a white guy, well, forget that they'd already be arrested. We know that. But let's say there were 4 black cops even, okay? And they were like relieved of their duty. Now I'm going to say 4 black guys. What would happen is the guy who did it, well, all the other guys would be equally charged. I think all 4 of them should be charged the same, because you see, it is to protect and serve. They all broke their oath. You know, I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree with you. Let's see. Yeah, you know what really is scary? R. Carson said, I don't think the cop cared that he was killing a man. You know what? I don't know what he was like. I don't know that. You may be right. But what I really watched, it you know something, Darren, there's no other way. I don't even know how to word it, you know, in that I was watching a murder, and they murdered a black man in front of us. It was like, oh, okay, it's Thursday. I think I'll take a black man out and kill him now. Like, what the F? Like, I've never, it's almost like, oh, honey, I got to go slaughter some turkey.